What is happening, everybody? Welcome back. Another episode of the Off Track Experience. On this episode, I sit down with a good friend of mine, Kristian Serainids. Now, he's doing really cool things. He's working with disabled kids and kids with not the best upbringing, not the best start, and he's creating a place for them to feel safe, to create, to be healthy. Now, he's actually starting a heap of different locations, places for these kids to go to and just feel kind of a bit more empowered, a bit more confident, and just a bit more themselves. So it's really cool to see that he's been putting in this work. Now, kind of questioning him and going into what got him into this was the fact that his upbringing wasn't the best, and he felt like he had a disconnect from his family, from his mum, and honestly felt like a little bit of an angry kid growing up. And he kind of got this outlet with helping others, and he kind of attached himself to that, and now that's his thing, and that's what he does. So he's got a few different projects. One is Project Kick It, which he's the founder and director of. The other one is the OG Cool Kids Foundation, which he's also the founder and director, and Habit Mornington, which he's the founder and director of that as well, which has just been kicked off. So he's definitely got his hands full with a lot of different things, but super cool guy. He does get kind of passionate in this podcast, so there is a bit of swearing, but you can tell it comes from a place of just excitement and joy. But before we get into the podcast, a quick word from the sponsors, Athletic Greens. If you guys want some comprehensive goodness in your life, in your routine, in your supplements, go try it out. It is the festive season, so you got to look after yourself a little bit. So if you want 75 whole ingredients, go check it out and tell me what you think. See what you think. I've been running this in the morning in my smoothies, and I think it's a great way to get your day started. So go give it a try. Let me know what you think and enjoy it. But enjoy the podcast. See you guys. Bye.
All right, I don't want to. You told me your last name last night.
Yeah,
but I'm gonna wreck it. So, Kristian, how do you pronounce your last name?
Serainidis.
And it's Greek, isn't it?
Greek. Serainidis.
Serainidis.
I used to say Serainidis though.
That sounds more Greek.
Serainidis.
Yeah.
Than the Serainidis.
Yeah. Oh, they're both pretty Greek.
Well, I was working with some kid, and his surname was Ionides, and then one day I was like, I'm fucking 25, and I've been saying Serainidis, and I was like, I'm 99% sure it's Serainidis. And I was like, fuck me. And I think my sister still says Serainidis, and my mum, stupid. Anyway.
Did someone correct you?
No, I fucking corrected myself, because I was like, cunt. No. But it's kind of like the Liz Cambage. I remember one day, she's like an Australian basketballer. Anyway, she's not very well liked, but she is like Liz Cambage. She was Liz Cambage for the longest time. She was a number one pick, so everyone knows about her. And then all of a sudden, everyone started calling her Cambage or something. It's like, what the fuck's going on? Anyway, so Serainidis.
Okay, Serainidis.
Serainidis, yeah.
Well, welcome to the podcast. Is this the first podcast you've done, or is this you've done a few?
No, I've done a handful, not many.
So you're media trained. You're media trained for it. You're ready for it.
Fuck, I don't know. I'm already cussing, so probably not.
I was going to say, that's hard, man, because I know when I'm doing this, it's made me change how I speak.
Yeah, man.
And like we talked about yesterday, it made me change how I listen as well, and how I interact with people, which I think is probably the biggest benefit that I've got out of this. Is it's changed the way I interact with people and actually give them the space to speak. Yeah. Do you find like that's something in your life where you don't mean to do it, but you almost cut people off just because you've got something exciting to
100%.
say and you don't let them speak?
I just fucking did it to you then. Like, it's
your podcast, man. You can cut me off as much as you want. Makes my job easier.
Thank you, bro. Nah, couldn't agree more, man. Like, I do it all the fucking time. And then it's like you listen to yourself and you're like, fuck, I listen like that. Or when you see videos of yourself and you're like, oh, man, like, that's what I look like. And it's the same when it comes to the exact same thing with this sort of stuff. It's like, we did speak about it briefly yesterday of being like, you hear yourself and then all of a sudden you're like, man, why all of a sudden are you just now piping up when this person is like, they're kind of humming or they're kind of in flow and they're in a groove. And then all of a sudden you kind of pep in because you're like, I've got fucking something to say and it's just as exciting. I don't know, man, but 100%. Like, my biggest thing is just like my favorite people on the planet are just like people who are good listeners. Like rather than constantly having to kind of drop in and kind of give you a bit of wisdom. It's nice every so often, but like my favorite, like there's this girl that I'm friends with, her name's Lauren, and I was going through some shit and I just must have just kind of launched into something, and when I finished up chatting, she quite literally was just like, so, and it's the first time I'd ever heard anyone say it to me. She's like, did you just want somebody to speak to, or did you just want to share that, or did you want my advice? And obviously I was like, well, not obviously, but I was like, I need your fucking advice. But she was like, it wasn't in that
nice to hear
100%,
just so
man.
because you don't know.
Exactly.
You don't know.
And it wasn't until I reflected on it that I like, it kind of hit the way that it did. Cause I was like, yo, like that's exactly like sometimes like, I think I'm always in kind of fix it mode. So for me, it was really refreshing because it's the same thing. I try my best to embody it, but man, we're human. And naturally when you see people going through shit or anything like that, all you want to do is just like, yo, it doesn't have to be this way. And sometimes you need to give them a bit of tough love and you're just like, no, like this is fine. And you kind of want to give them that, but it's like figuring out the discernment between of like, all right, is it time where this person needs bit of wisdom, or do they just need some love? Do they just need me to wrap them up quite literally with a physical hug, or just kind of be present there and they can kind of lean on and they can kind of share the way they are? So yeah, man, like I'm so glad we're even chatting about this now, because the more we chat about it, the more it kind of reinforces it for me. Because like I said, like there's nothing better than a good listener, and there's nothing better than just being seen and heard. And that always happens with people who are good listeners versus just like the fucking know-it-all who you just like, fuck this loser. Have everything to say. So
well, that's the thing. They're trying to fix something, and if you actually give the person time to speak, a lot of the time they'll fix it themselves. Like they have the answer. They know what they need to do, but they don't, I guess, you know, it's like you have all these thoughts, but if you don't actually verbalize those thoughts, you don't really see them properly. Like they're kind of a bit hazy and you kind of don't put it out there. And when you do speak it, you go, oh shit, like that's how I actually feel. And I think it's a powerful thing, because I always, if I say something, I'm going to do it. But it'll take a long time for me to say something if I'm going back and forth in my own head about it. But like once I say it, it's out there. I've seen it. Okay, well, this is what we need to do now. And I guess that's what comes to a good listener. They give you that safe place where you can feel that you can be yourself and just put it out there. And then you kind of see it for yourself and go, oh, I know what to do. Where if someone's constantly butting in and you're like, oh, I'm feeling down because of this. It's like, oh, I should do this. Oh, I should do that. And you're like, oh, and you don't even get to say everything you wanted to say, and you could have solved your own problem. But like you said, it's very much, you need to have those friends where when you rock up and see them, you go, all right, I need you to listen, but you don't really have to give me feedback. I just want to get my thoughts out to another person, versus I need your help. What do you think I should do?
100%. Doing my best not to butt in then. Like, it's like, it quite literally is that. It's like going between the two. And I think as well, it's like as you get older, you can't get upset with people because they're trying to do their best. And again, talking like using the word discernment, it's like making the discernment between, it's like, all right, like this is what I'm going through. I do need some support, or I do need some love. And then really knowing what people to go to for what particular counsel. And when I say counsel, it's just like typically advice, or just like, it's like going to a therapist, or like there's times where like I'm feeling in a bit of a lull, and it's like that person is quite literally the person I need to be around right now, because I know exactly how they show up and it's consistent, and that's just who they are. Rather than expecting like one person to be able to fix it all and know exactly what's going on all the time. And if you can do that, oh man, like you just fall in love with all these people in your life, rather than just like, I needed this and you didn't give me that. And it's like, no. It's like, it doesn't work that way. Like you're just projecting shit, and how fucking unfair for that person on the other side to all of a sudden have to be this person who's your therapist, your best friend, all the same shit in one, when it's quite literally just take a breath. It's like, yo, what do I need right now? And it's like, do I just need to listen? First of all, listen to myself. Two, or do I even need to chat to anyone? Two, do I need to be chatting to a professional sport versus a personal sort of friend? Because those two in itself are completely different. So yeah, man, that's just been something like, particularly like I'm 31 now, and probably had that sort of realization when I was 25. And I've always like, it's not like I've had expectations, but you do feel let down sometimes, because it's like, you're my best friend and all I needed in this moment was that, and you didn't give it to me. And especially in the cancel culture we are in now, or even just a self-development thing, people are like, I'm developing, I'm growing, I'm going in this direction, and you're not. It's like, no, just be like, it's about you picking and choosing how much time you share with that people. Like I love and adore all my friends that I've made over the years, but just like, it just depends in what chapter of life you're in and how much time you're spending with that person. Like right now, like I'm spending a lot of time, and this is thanks to COVID, with people who live close to me. So proximity has been everything for me, because proximity has been community. And I didn't have that. Like it used to be a really formal thing where I would finish work and it's like, yo, like I want to catch up with this person. I want to catch up with this person. You're 45 minutes away. So yeah, it's like, all right, I've got this time on this day, but I've only got this amount of time. And then it's just like this big formal process and this big build up for one thing. And then, man, we live in in a world now where even when you're together, you see it all the time. The person's on their phone organizing the next catch up with the next person. Like, so for me, like COVID, fuck it. I was sweet and I was kind of found my groove. But that last, like I live in Melbourne, and the last sort of 6 months of that, like you're just so depleted. And I just was just like, I've had enough. And I was getting in the ocean every single day and I posted and I have a fear, I love the ocean, but I have a fear for the ocean. It's like, fuck it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to get in the ocean every day in the month. Like it was in the middle of August, or it was for the month of August. And I posted it and a guy I'd known, I didn't know him too well, but he's like, man, I love this. I'd love to jump in with you. And I was like, hell yeah. And even then I was a little bit nervous because like socially, I was like, I'm not the greatest, but we got in the ocean every day, and then a guy he knew got in the ocean with me every day as well. And there was 3 of us, and every single day we got in the ocean. It's freezing cold, no matter the conditions. And honestly, like the water was obviously cold, and that was a challenge in itself. But it was just so worthwhile, just having purpose to your day, catching up with these 2 guys in particular, and they're 2 of my best mates now. Like it's like we've known each other forever. One of the dudes, he was helping me with the project that I run, volunteering his time. And then now we're at a position where we're opening a gym together. We've just launched the foundation together. And this has only been in the last sort of 3 years. And like, I get to go and share Christmas with him and his family every year. I get to, like, all those things is because of things like this. So yeah, man, I know I'm going on a bit of a tangent, but like,
dude, go to town, man. Go to town. Bro. But it's that thing where you've got friends that it's like you expect so much out of them, but it's like I don't really think it's like this unconditional love thing with friends, and it's like there's so much condition to it. Like you've got to call me, you've got to check in, you've got to do all this. And as someone that lives a life where I'm not present in one spot for very long, I always struggle with that because it's like I'm not going to show up as your friend when I'm in Europe or I'm over here, I'm doing this, and I'd expect you as a friend to accept that and know when I am with you, when we are face to face, I'm going to be the friend that you need. But don't get shitty with me if I haven't checked in with you. And I think so many people go like, oh, you don't want to talk to me, you don't want to check in with me, like you're dead to me. I'm like, man, like give me, like, understand that like we all live life. Life is very present all the time, and you're always getting new challenges, new adventures, new everything. Yeah. And if you have people that cut you out because you can't check in with them and like be there when they may need you, but not even knowing that they need you, it's like, man, that's not fair at all.
100%. I love that, bro. That's such a good, if you're going to take a grab out, exactly what you just said. It's so important. Like it's so important. And like, and if you can kind of get over that hump, the richness of those relationships are just so good. Because it's quite literally like you just pick up where you left off, and it's like nothing has changed. Like, and I feel like I've got that with the majority of my friends. And I don't know if that's just an organic thing. Maybe people don't feel this way about me, and maybe people have hard feelings because I haven't shown up, but none that I'm completely aware of. And like, sounds a bit cunty, but like, obviously they're not like important enough for me to have felt that sort of way. But I love what you just said, man. Like, it's so nice when like those friends or those people in your life, they just kind of understand what life looks like. And this is how I kind of show up in those relationships. And like right now, that's what it might look like, but it might not be like that for everything. Like right now you're in the Gold Coast. So right now you're present with the boys in this house or Lans or people around you because, again, proximity, and it makes sense. But like, I know you've got all these dreams of wanting to go and do a lot of travel and kind of spend your time in different places of the world. Naturally, that's just not going to be achievable. And like, fuck, like imagine having you being on the other side of the world and you can't even be present in what you're doing because you're just doing your best to kind of, it's almost like damage control back home. It's like, I love that person, I don't want to lose that person, but I need to spend an hour each day catching up on everyone. No, man.
And that's such an easy thing to fall into, where people feel guilty because they'll have those friends where if you're not talking to them all the time, you kind of get to this point where you know that they're going to be a little bit bitter. So then it pushes you away more because you're like, if I catch up with you, you're just going to be like, why haven't you seen me? And my nan was perfect for that. Like, we would go see her and she's like, why don't you see me more often? And I'm like, I'm here now. Why are you making me feel bad about not seeing you more when I'm here now? Yeah. And you don't come and see us. You live 5 minutes from where we lived. And she's like, I don't have a car. I'm like, I'll pay for a taxi. You don't call us, you don't ring, and then you make us feel bad about not coming to see you. And like we just stopped seeing her. Like it sounds kind of bad, but she just wasn't the most loving, caring person. And we got sick of getting guilt tripped into not seeing someone when we're seeing them, and not taking responsibility that she's not doing the same thing. It's like, oh, he hasn't called me in ages. I'm like, you haven't called them either. Like that's a two-way street there. And people get so caught up on oh, they haven't called me or they haven't checked in with me. I'm like, have you? No. So you're doing the exact same thing, getting angry at them and then just pulling away.
Yeah, man.
Like sometimes you need to just pass the olive branch out. It's a good feeling for both of you.
Yeah, bro. Like, and I'm glad you kind of brought up the family card, because they're the biggest culprits.
Yeah.
Like friends, different, like relationship. And it's like, it's almost like literally just making this up right now. But in my head, it's kind of like you have 3 tiers, and it's like you have family, friends, community. And community has by far been the most exciting in all of that, because like community is like the spontaneity of it all. It's about you doing you, and then whatever comes up in that environment, you're just sitting with and you're just enjoying. You can remove yourself whenever. You don't have to show up a certain way. Friendship, different ball game. Obviously, people know you for you. They're kind of expecting you to show up a certain way. If you don't show up that certain way, they'll start questioning you, like, what's wrong with you? Why are you moody? Why are you this? Have I done something? And it's like, no, I'm just fucking hungry, or like just something like that. And then family, man, like we all know, it's not like, it's literally one of those things where it's like people have the excuse for you to be there. Like it's like everything that's coming up in life, and it's like, I'm just like, I'm not angry with you, but I can be angry with you. So I'm just going to give you the worst of me.
Yeah.
And then like, I just hope people get to a point like I'm at that. Like, so when you say it sounds a bit bad, like my mum's Dutch, our family's French, and my dad's Greek, and his entire family's Greek.
You have a real mixture going on.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
like, it's just, it's so messy. So my sister and I are firstborn Australian from both sides of the family. Both migrated over. So it's only my sister and I and my mum, and we're not close at all. Like, I grew up resenting my mum, hating my mum. And I remember like friends were like, I remember my best mate being like, you don't hate her. And I was like, man, like I do. And like the fact that you don't understand why, and I know like this might people like it's your mum or whatever, but it's like I have a deep amount of respect for her, and I do love her, but it's like because she's my mum, she doesn't have an excuse to treat me the way that she does and the way that she communicates to me. And I always break it down. I'm like, if she wasn't my mum, she's not someone I would want to share time with. And I think that speaks volumes. And it's like, she's always going to be in my life. We still communicate and all those sort of things, but I have super firm boundaries, especially as I've gotten older. Like, rather than just kind of feeding into the bullshit or getting angry back or whatever, I'll just let her do her thing. And it's like, yo, I've got to go.
Yeah.
And it's just like, and our relationship's gotten better because of that, because she kind of knows now. It's like, I'm just going to remove myself from the situation right away if things kind of go in a certain direction.
Why do you
feel that way?
Yeah, feel that way about it.
Oh, man. So, grew up in a low-income household. So that in itself already paints a big picture, particularly if you've grown up in a low-income household, or you've grown up in housing commission, or you've grown up on things where the government is very present in your life and what your livelihood looks like. So we were a low-income household because my mum had a workplace accident. She used to be a chef, and she lost her fingers in a mincemeat machine. And it was just like such a significant and traumatic event, and her life just cascaded. It was just like, it just fell into a massive heap from there. And physically, something where now she looks very differently, not only looks very differently, but functions very differently. It not only impacts the joint or the hand, that's like with what's going on and all the surgeries and everything that comes with that, but now it affects the rest of your body because the rest of your body's compensating. When you're so fragile, or like something like that happens, you become incredibly fragile and you feel like a bit of a shell of yourself. You start to doubt yourself. This is what, like 30 plus years ago as well. So it's not a world where we live in now where you have all these supports in place or things like that. So
how old were you when this happened?
See, I need to actually know. I don't actually know. I don't know if I wasn't born yet or if I was a bub, like a full baby. It was that sort of time though. So like I said, between that 30 and 35 years ago.
So you've only known her.
I've only ever known her with like her being who she is.
Yeah.
And man, she's just like a typical European, like she's a tough lady, and she's had to be like, I can imagine like her mum's a prisoner of war. Her mum is like flees to a country. That's why she's born in Holland. And then from there they migrate over here. And my grandma, from everything I understand, as much as like you hear it, it's like most kids have an incredible relationship with their grandparents, but then like the parent themselves, like as you get older, you start to hear what they're like and what life looked like for them. And like it's almost like we become who our parents are unless we adore them. And so my grandma just being the hard ass that she was, it kind of, my mum turned into that sort of hard ass. And again, you're moving to a different or foreign land as well. You're kind of she's a very independent woman as well. Like I said, was a head chef and all those sort of things. And like, this is a world where life doesn't look the same as it does now for women anyway. So yeah, so like she wasn't really a mum. Like she was very much just like a coach of just being like hard, man, like super, super hard. And like our living conditions were hard. And like I say that we're living in a developed country. So when I say our conditions were hard, I'm not trying to compare to a developing country, but it's all relative.
Yeah.
Like it's all relative.
Yeah, I get caught up in that when it's like you only know your version of hard. Like your version of hard is this. And you're like, yes, there's someone in Africa or wherever it may be that is going through more than you. Yeah. But you saying that to me and me knowing that doesn't make living in a housing commission when you don't have enough food and stuff feel any better. It's almost just like, okay, cool, someone does have it tougher. That sucks for them as well. But also this is not the best for me.
Yeah, man.
And not have to be like, because I always hate when you try and pull happiness out of other people's demise. It's just like, oh, well, they're suffering, so I'm not suffering as badly. But I understand.
Well, it's like, I think people love the comparison for perspective. And sometimes perspective is important.
I think it can help, but it's not the
It's
golden ticket to feeling better.
It's not constructive a lot of the time. Just makes people feel fucking worse. And it's also why like you see all these people who've lived a certain way and it's like far out, like why are they complaining about this? Because exactly like you said, they don't know no different. Like life has looked a certain way. So no shit, when you've got everything and then you start to remove stuff, it doesn't matter whether you've got everything or nothing. As soon as you start removing things, all of a sudden these big feelings and emotions are going to come up and it's new to you. So you're like, what do I do? How do I react? And typically we don't react articulately. We start throwing shit or like, that's literally, man, like the one time, fuck, I'll never forget it. So like, again, my mum being who she was and I was a shit kid. Like I was so naughty. I was such a bully and I was just a naughty kid. And I remember, but I was scared of my mum, so scared of my mum. And, but I never listened to her. And I remember one day we were in the house and she just fucking lost it about something. But shit, this is the thing, like one of the reasons why I didn't, because she like, it was kind of like she would escalate from the smallest things and nothing would be good enough. But this one day, don't know what I did, but arguing like we always would. And she was doing the dishes and all of a sudden she just started grabbing the plates, the mugs and started throwing them at the wall. And I was like, what is going on? And just like did not stop. We're just throwing everything in front of her and just smashing all these plates and bowls on the wall. And all of a sudden I was just like, oh fuck. I was like, she's for real. And it was like the first time where I just like literally stopped and listened. And it's like, we all get it. It's like the first time you get punched in the mouth, it's like, oh, this is for real. Or like you're having an accident. It's like, oh shit, I can get injured. Or for me playing basketball and copying my first out, like I'm playing defense and I'm right up in the guy's face. And we're at like the top of the paint. There's no reason for him to throw an elbow and my hands are in there and he's like, nah, and he'll break my hand because he's like, and it's just a check. And it's just like, you learn when you get hurt or shit is erupt and you're like, oh shit, that's how this shit's going to go down.
We're gonna deal with this. It's like, I always like the Mike Tyson thing where it's like everyone has a plan until they get punched in the face.
Exactly.
It's like, yeah, I see that.
You just, 3 words or whatever, however many words for me to fucking rant on.
Was there a reason she started throwing stuff at the wall or
just fed up? I'm assuming, like, I'm not her, but I'm assuming 100%. Yeah, man. Like, it's like the person who, we all have those people in life, and it's like, again, they overreact for the smallest things, and it's got nothing to do with, like, the water spilling on the table or you stubbing your toe, and it's like, that shit's inconvenient and it's annoying, but it's no reason for you to all of a sudden just kind of flip a table or stand up or just kind of, like, launch into someone. Like, man, I'm glad I've kind of witnessed all these things because it's allowed me to have the empathy that I do have today. Because like I see that shit happens and then people on the other side, they don't even have to be on the receiving end of it. Obviously, it's not nice being on the receiving end, but it's also fucking super awkward when you're in the environment and you've got something to do with it, but it's not directly to you. And all of a sudden you're like, and then your reaction, or a lot of reactions for a lot of people, is like, oh, they're fucking weird. Like, what the hell? And then all you think about, even though they have a body of work where it's like, you've known this person for a long time, they've always showed up really rationally or whatever, but they do one weird ass thing, and then all of a sudden, like, it's a fucking bit of a write-off. So I just think it's just like that whole thing of like, people have all this pent up frustration and stress or whatever, and if they're not self-regulating, if you're not doing that, something like, they're not picking and choosing that moment to fucking flip. It just happens naturally. Like, we all do it. Like, for me, it was in basketball for sure growing up. And like, I was that angriest kid, and I would rip everyone and everything and get so angry, and like, just like reactions to the refs. Like, I remember, and this went on until I was like 21 years old, still playing in the Siebel, which was like, at the time was the NBL, what's the NBL one is now. And I'm like, here as I'm an adult in a professional environment, I'll go play domestic with my mates, and our domestic team stacked, got sick, like guys who were like unbelievable players playing hacks. And just like, it will literally get I remember it got like a minute or two into the game, I get kicked out of the game. I'm sitting outside, and like, it was just a social thing. So I'm just sitting outside because I'm just waiting for them to finish so we can go get grilled and go watch a movie and just hang out on a Sunday night before the work week starts or whatever. And like, I had mates that I'd be playing against, and like, what the fuck are you doing out here, man? And I was like, oh, they kicked me out. And they're like, what the fuck, bro? And I just like, it checked me, because I was just like, it was just something that was so normal for me. And I was just like, oh, again, like at 20 years old, it was still normal for people to get shitty. So like I said, going back to the whole empathy thing, I think I have empathy for it, because I'm like, one, I understand that it's probably got nothing to do with the current situation, and two, I was that fucking person, and the last thing I needed was for someone to write me off or to cancel me, when really I really needed people.
Do you think that, you're saying like, obviously you've got a lot of empathy now, was there a pivotal point? Because I want to obviously like lead into, you're saying you're this angry kid that gets in fights in basketball matches, and like, that's not the person I know now.
Yeah. Was
there a pivotal moment where you went, okay, I'm not going to be that person? Because obviously you want to like go into the gym you've set up and how you've organized everything and the foundation and everything. What was the pivotal moment? And then how did that make you change what you were doing?
There's a few points. There's like, the first thing that really smashed me, year 8, Nathan Thompson comes in, he's an AFL footballer, comes in and speaks to the year 8s. And this is when mental health isn't even on the radar. Like, haven't heard of what he was talking about, which was depression. I hadn't even heard the word until year 8. So 2005, maybe 2006. And he was talking, and this is my second year in high school, first year, cunt. Like, me being the only kid from the primary school I went to, my mum sent me to a different high school. All my mates went to the local high school, and my best mate went to a private school. Private school is not an option because mum can't even afford like groceries throughout the week. But I don't even understand the concept of money, really. Local high school, I'm like, what? Like, why? So she sends me this other high school half an hour away, which felt like a lifetime at the time. So like, I'm needing to reestablish myself in terms of like, I'm one of the cool kids, and I'm like, there is no chance I'm fucking rolling into this school and not being that. Like, and so I was like, and I remember orientation day, staying at my best mate's house.
Why did you think that though? Why did you come up with you thought that I just want to stay as the cool kid? Just
because I don't know, because I was just like, I think it's just like all those insecurities. But again, like, I can kind of like sit back and think about it now, and it's almost like I'm even piecing it together now, just kind of reflecting and chatting about it. It's just all those insecurities that have come up, and all you know is one thing. And I think like I was already so weak, like I was bigger than most people, I was an athlete, like all those sort of things. And like, we know what schools, like those kids reign supreme. If you're an athlete, it's all like, you're the cool kids naturally. But still, I'm not thinking that way. All I'm thinking is like, I'm in fucking survival mode right now. And the reason I'm about to paint a picture as to why it was so important is because I stayed at my mate's house the night before. So we're in grade 6. I have orientation day. My mum comes flying in, always in a rush like she always is, or we are. shit's always just uncomfortable and just we're arguing and all that sort of stuff. I run into the car. I'm putting my clothes on. We're halfway there, and I'm fuck, man. We're halfway there, and I'm like, Mum, I was like, I've left my shoes at Paul's house. And she's like, she just fucking loses it. And she's like, well, she's like, there's nothing we can do. And I'm just like, oh my, I open my bag though, and thankfully I have a pair of shoes in there, but they're fucking runners, Adidas runners, which Adidas, like, cool shoe, whatever. But
this is obviously not the cool kid
no,
shoe
man,
in your
like,
opinion.
No, well, fuck, I grew up skating. So, like, all my mates and I skated. Every day I skated to school. So I'm in skate clothes and I'm wearing Adidas runners.
Hindsight, not that big of a deal.
No. Like, I look back now, everyone's rolling. Fuck, man, I have a pair of New Balance. Everyone's wearing New Balance since, like... So,
you're ahead of your time, man. You're ahead of your time.
Man, like, but it was such... So, like, I roll in and I just feel like the biggest fucking dork. And I'm like, this is fucked. No friends, by myself. Instantly know who the cool kids are. And then we get to, like, just before lunchtime, and the orientation class is PE, and we play dodgeball, and I just fucking rip everyone. Just like, I'm just running a train, just picking up and just probably hurting kids, just going ham and just like fucking people up. And as soon as that finished, these
How
kids...
does this link to the guy coming in to talk about...
Oh, yeah. Well, yeah, fuck, man. I'll get back to that.
I feel like we're off on a tangent right now.
But it was just 100%. We'll get back to that. But it was just, again, like me just kind of like trying to assert myself, I suppose, as like an alpha. And then as I do that, within an instant, it was like 3 boys in particular, but they were like the kids from the local primary school. And then like all the other kids were kind of dispersed within that. Yeah. And then right away after that, they came up to me at lunchtime and we started hanging out and I was friends with them from there. But again, like I was still a fucking cunt throughout all of that and real mean and like real bully and a real asshole. And like I would call people the worst names and all these type of things. And like obviously that's eating away at me and making me just a shit human, but it's all I know. And then I remember a girl pulling me up and like there was 2 girls in our class and they're like, "You're really nice, but you're really angry." And I was like, what? I was like, I didn't even know I was angry, for one. And then it was just like a bit of a chain of events. And then this guy rolled in talking about depression and everything he was saying. It's like he could have just read off a spreadsheet, like, are you feeling this way? Are you feeling this way? Are you feeling this way? Is this what life looks like? Is this how you think about things? And I was just like, ding, 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 like ticking them all off. And I was just like, it was just like this moment. And this is year 8. It's still pretty early on. I'm still pretty young. But again, like playing all these sports, doing really well, this happens. I go home and I was like, Mum, I think I have depression. And then like, even for me to have the courage to say that to her, because we wouldn't the only communication we would have was like screaming matches. Like affection wasn't a thing. None of that. Like, like it took me so long receiving love, like hug, like that sort of stuff took me until I was about 25 to receive it and like, and to be okay with it. It took me so, like even getting a massage. Like just
and you think that's why you were throwing it back at all these other kids because you just didn't know how to deal with
hitting out 100%. 100%. And then from there, Mum, like her way of reacting with things, again, kind of missed to fix it. But she didn't like, it wasn't like she kind of wrapped me up in a hug or anything, like, which is obviously what you need as a parent, like from a parent. So I suppose this is why coming back to the whole thing of like, why don't you like your mom? And it's like, all I needed was a parent and I didn't have a parent because I was a parent for myself, walking to and from school as a prep. Like those sort of things. And yeah, like this kind of came up and what she did was she sent me to a hypnotherapist. And
your mum sent
me to a hypnotherapist. And she kind of like jaded me in doing it. She came and picked me up from school one day for some weird reason because I used to catch a school bus. And she started driving me and I was like, where the fuck are we going? And like we land in Turak of all places. Here I am, like I said, like fuck man, like we're not doing great, and we're in one of the wealthiest suburbs in like I know this as like I have like I understand this at that age. I'm like, what the fuck? And then we go up to these like bougie ass offices, and I was like, what? Like I felt sick to my stomach. I was like, what the fuck? And this guy comes out. His name's Bill Patterson. I'll never forget. Love him now. I don't know if he's still alive or whatever, but I've never felt so betrayed. I was like, I'm not fucking going in that office. Like, and we didn't do any of that. And he was so like, I didn't see it, but he must have been so good. And him like reading the situation of like what life looked like for us, what it would have taken for my mum to get us there, us not being in a position that she can afford. Not only can she not afford it, but not afford for her to pay and me not actually fucking get the treatment.
Wanting to go anyway.
Yeah, and hypnotherapy, I'm guessing back in 2005, 2006 is probably a pretty off the cuff thing, like pretty extreme thing. And but then like I don't know exactly what led up, but I ended up going in this office with him another time, and it was the first time I remember, you know, those moments where like you're smiling so much that it hurts your face. Like it hurts your face. And I don't know what he did. And it would have just been coming in and have a conversation, him asking me to close my eyes, him doing his thing or whatever. And it was like, from then on, life could look completely different. Like completely different, completely changed my tone. But I plummeted and went the complete opposite way and just like became this fucking weakling. Like I still had all my mates and I was still kind of me or whatever, but I shied away from the world massively. I definitely developed, like undiagnosed, but definitely developed an eating disorder. All those sort of things. Like there was so much that was kind of coming up. And then from then on, I just got weaker and weaker and weaker. And when I say weaker, like physically, yes, but just like I was such a shell of myself in every kind of which way. Ended up really wanting to apply myself and going to a certain school, which was Box Hill Senior. And at the time, it was the only sort of sports program. And I eventually got there, but I was still like, fuck, man, I don't know how I made any friends in that school. Like, because I was just wasn't myself sort of thing.
So it kind of it pulled you out. You weren't angry anymore, but you just were kind of numb or nothing. Sad. Like, I didn't understand that anger as a kid growing up was sadness. Like, and he kind of like unlocked it by doing whatever he did.
100%. But I wasn't continuing with him. Like I saw him for a bit and he kind of gave me a bit of momentum and really helped me kind of work through it. It was just kind of more just, again, a self-awareness of these sort of things. But I didn't continue to get support from there. They're like, mum wasn't in a position to do that. And that was probably that's probably why I kind of went the way that like life ended up looking the way it did. But I did have I still had basketball and sport and like certain friends within. So I don't know, like, and it's almost like maybe because I was such a stubborn kid, it was almost like the stubbornness. It was like I would never kind of throw in the towel. Like, it was just like, even though I felt a certain way and I didn't want to be alive and I didn't want to live and I didn't want to be in the world that I was almost like I was too stubborn that I wouldn't. Like, I'd never ever thought about self-harm. I'd never ever thought about suicide. And for a lot of people, from what I'm understanding, like, they're kind of the default when you're feeling that sort of way. Like, they're the sort of thoughts that come up. They weren't the thoughts for me. It was just a feeling sorry for myself. Like, what the fuck do I have to do to get out of this?
Yeah.
But I didn't think I ever was. I was just like, it was just more of an acceptance of like, this is what life looks like and I'm just going to have to roll with it. But I never ever thought I was going to get out of that. And up until I was probably, again, I was doing all this stuff, playing a lot of basketball still. And it wasn't until I got to 21, I finished school, went to like college, TAFE sort of thing, got a terrible ATAR, even though I was supposed to be a high achieving student at school or whatever. And I was doing, it was called sports therapy at the time. And I was there for a year and a half, and then I didn't want to do it. Went into one of my lecturers, was a strength and conditioning coach. He wanted to give me a job, and I was like, hell yeah, like, how cool is this? Super flattering. Went and did that with him for a little bit, was working in the gym and just hated that culture. And then didn't work for about 6 months. Sister, so I have a biological sister. I have two biological sisters, one a half sister, one a full sister. Full sister has Asperger's. Mum, we have foster kids coming in and out of our home. I've got two foster sisters at the time, both with autism. Both go to special needs school. And then I was like, fuck, man, I got to do something. So I went to go and volunteer my time at this school. And it was the best thing ever because I was in the lowest of lows. And like, it was one of those things where I couldn't get out of bed. I was literally in physical pain. Like, I was just so sore all the time. Just my body was just so depleted. Went to this school, and between 21 and 25, I'm at this school. Well, 21 to 26 or 27, I'm at this school, and it's just like that, just very organic. Like, there was no intention on it, but I was there for so long because I loved it. It was the first time where like I was really getting loved on and really being appreciated. here I am at that age working with all these students. And I was just like, I was in my bag. Like I was in my group just having fun. But fuck, man, like me personally was in such a bad place. And I feel like the principal must have known, because I was getting contract after contract, and it's almost like she just wanted to, because it was a very competitive environment. Like there's all these people who are applying for jobs, not getting them. And these are particularly mums who have got families home or whatever. And then here I am not really giving a fuck. And maybe because of my playfulness or really just being present in the job and not kind of overthinking it all, maybe that's what the job needed. But like I said, I still wasn't addressing what was going on for me mentally. And I just isolated myself from the world, man. So like that. And then,
do you think those kids, though, you're saying like there was mums and stuff, but they probably thought they need a friend, they don't need a carer or a mum, and you probably played that role as being a carer and looking after them. That's
a leader who's good at their job. It's not finding the best teacher. It's like, what do we need right now? And Kristian brings this to the table. Like at this age, for example, like I still have that playfulness and I have all those sort of things. So right now, when certain jobs come up, so like I said, so like I now run a project for young people with a disability. And like, I feel like I do a really good job at kind of matchmaking sort of things. And like that matchmaking process, it's like all the people we support are young people, right? And all the people that work with me are young people too. And like, I don't even think I'm a young person anymore, but I'm the oldest. And then all the people I'm kind of sharing this time with, all the people who are working with me, they're like I said, they're all younger. And so typically they're going to be those people who are a lot more playful or whatever. But we kind of attract younger people. And I think that's just kind of like, the appeal to what we do. But then we also sometimes have older people who reach out and be like, yo, like love what you're doing, would love to kind of join in. But it's like, rather than being closed off to that and being like, this is just for young people, that's what it is. It's like, no, there's a role for you, but it's probably just not going to be in what we typically would do. It's like this family or this family needs support on this day from 7 to 10 p.m. to help with personal care, to help them get ready for bed. It's like they need a mum. They don't need me fucking rolling into the house, not wanting to shower this kid, not wanting to sit there and read them a bedtime story. And fuck, I'm going to rile them up probably, versus like the mum who's good in that sort of in that environment, versus me. It's like, no, like now I create social opportunities. I'm creating like relationship, like past relationships from me growing up, of me being an athlete. So now having friends in those places and areas where it's like, well, fuck, man, like these environments I like being in. I know the kids love being in those environments. So it's like, that's my place. And going back to the whole school thing, it wasn't for me to go into the classroom and be like, 1 + 1 is 2 or whatever. It was very much like, these kids are present in this room right now because they've got someone, a role model that they're looking up to, and it's full monkey see, monkey do. So for me, it's just being the best human I can possibly be in that environment, but also be very human. So it's okay to be emotional. It's okay to be all those sort of things. And that's why I think that really kind of worked for me in that sort of environment. But
and that would have changed you as well as you did it, because it would have pulled you out of this, like you could see the empathy and create the care for someone else would have been so much more powerful. What is your organization or gym, or what would be the...
So yeah, there's a few legs.
What does it do exactly?
It's all a bit fucking messy. It's not messy, but it sounds messy because it sounds so wanker.
You can make it sound as clean as you want on a podcast.
Oh, I can't, bro. It just sound like a wanker. It's like, do this. Fuck. I even feel fucking guilty putting something like in my Instagram bio. There's nothing fucking worse when you look at someone's Instagram bio and they've still got, it's like, graduated in the class of this fucking all those years ago, and it's like they string off that. But anyway, so I run a project for young people with a disability, and the whole idea of the project is just been creating a safe, enjoyable place for young people to kind of show up as themselves, and not have fucking mum or dad on their back or whatever. And like, even for me to say, it's hard for me to really put into words. It's one of those things where you kind of need to show up and kind of experience, because there was no intent in this. Like, I never intended for Project Kick It to be a thing. It just very organically happened. I had a motorbike accident while I was working at the school. Couldn't work for, like, I was in and out of surgery for 12 months. Families were dropping their kids off at my place. I felt guilty about earning a secondary income. As soon as I got strong enough to start pushing wheelchairs again, all the money I was earning, I just started taking these kids to music concerts because I wanted to relive my childhood. And then it's just blown up into what it is now, which is fucking crazy. But that's what that is.
How big is it now?
Not massive, man. Like I say, we've got a tiny family. Like, we have hundreds of people joining in, but like working directly with like 40, 50 young people, kind of that. But
and what does that look like on like a day-to-day basis when you're working with them? Just like going out to, just because you obviously did a hike recently, but you just go to just different things. And
that's the cool thing about it. It's like, it's constantly evolving. But like, I suppose a good sort of snapshot of like what things would typically look like is like, I've only just started we've just started helping families with like personal support. So like day-to-day sort of things. It's like that example of like a family being like, hey, I really need somebody to come into the place. Like, I really need some help on this day at this time. And it's like a regular thing. I've always stood away from that because I'm like, we have a really particular relationship. It's like our relationship with the kids is like, it's the weekend, it's project kicker time. So what we would do is it's like typically a weekend or school holidays, Friday afternoon, Saturday or Sunday. And it's just finding some fucking fun. And it's like, so it used to be something that was very informal, whereas now it's like every single weekend, it's quite regimented. It's like monthly calendar, this is what we're doing on this day, this is what we're doing on this day. And then families will reach out and be like, yo, so-and-so wants to join in here, so-and-so wants to join in. But it's cool because sometimes we might have kids, we might only see a kid once a year because they might be like, lame. And I fucking love that. Like, I love it when the kids have they're being empowered to make a choice for themselves rather than mum dropping them off. And it's like, I need some fucking respite. It's like, no, join in if you want to join in. And that's why things fucking go so well because everyone's on their best behavior. Everyone's got their best attitude because they're genuinely excited to be there. Like, do you remember what it was like as a kid and you knew you were going to the movies and your friends were picking you up? For me anyway, I was sitting at the door 3 hours before they fucking came in my best clothes with my big smile on, excited as shit. So like now that's quite literally what we're just doing on a weekly basis is just like, hey everyone, going to the basketball this weekend. Who wants to join in? Hey everyone, we're going to go catch a movie. And like trying not to do just the generic shit, like doing stuff that is like fucking fun. Like what's going to set your soul on fire? Like what gets me excited? It has to get me excited. Because like if I'm not participating and I'm not excited, it obviously it leaches out into the rest of the game. They
probably wouldn't be the same either. They wouldn't want to be there. Yeah, I get what you're saying.
So that's just like, that's the whole thing there. And the whole idea now, it's like, it was a lot of fun. Like it was just something that was some fun. And I'd always be like to friends, I'd be like, it's so cool. I was like, I don't know how on earth this is operating. I was like, I'm the least educated. Like I have no business to be doing this, what I'm doing. And even man, like I was talking to a friend about it this morning. Like there's still times where people like we communicating, we're doing all these things. And then like, I'll show up to the place and I'm like, fuck, wait, you're Christian? As in kind of just like expecting someone completely different of being like, how on earth are you running this or whatever? And it's like, now I just kind of just like, fuck, whatever. Obviously like that's who you are and that's what you kind of expect. But,
who do they expect to be showing up?
Fuck, like, someone well put together, someone not fucking cussing every second word or like, yeah, good luck with this podcast. Like, yeah, man, like, I don't know, like, yeah, I fucking try, see, like, I try to reel it in. I try so hard and I see, there's definitely times where like, I see it.
You're obviously passionate about it.
I think that like.
That's some passion here.
Yeah, man, like, I just don't know any other words. Like I obviously do, but it's almost like my mum used to swear a lot and, like there was no such thing as PG growing up or whatever. Like that was a cool thing about being a kid is like with the house I lived in, I had a freedom to do a lot of fucking rogue shit.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Do you want to stop that though? Like, do you want to not swear as much?
Funnily enough, like I find it the biggest turn off. Like when I see other people doing it. So I hope I'll have to watch this back and see what it looks like. And, but I just find it the tackiest, corniest, grossest shit when
people swear.
Swear, 100%, man. Like I think every time I see it, I don't know if it's like people putting on a show or whatever. I don't know. You tell me. Does it seem like I'm forcing the words out? Like
no, it's just I notice because I would sometimes swear when I do podcasts, but I know, like you say, when you hear people swearing all the time, they use it as filler words.
Yeah.
And you hear it back and then you go, oh yeah, like I am saying that a lot. And you feel like you realize that is the most common. It's just like a default. It's like you say like as a default or or R. I guess you're saying the F word is like a filler word because it's what you've been used to filling. But then you'll hear it back and you'll be like, oh, I'm saying that too many times because I think it takes away. You could say something really powerful, but if you swear in it, people just focus on the swear words.
Yeah.
And I think that's a dangerous thing because it takes away from, discredits what you're actually saying, no matter what that is.
Okay.
I think as well, if you say something too much, it takes power away from it. So if I say the F word, it's because I mean it. Like I'm angry about this thing, but if every second word you say is the F word, then it's like, does he care? Or is it like if you say, oh man, I fucking hate that person, you're like, oh man, he probably hates that person. But if you're like, oh, this was fucked and that's fucked and everything's fucked, I'm like, it kind of just
there's no weight to it.
It gets lost in it, yeah. So that would be one thing I'd say.
That is great feedback. I needed this. I already want to watch back. I needed this, bro. You're so right. It definitely is a combination of both for sure.
But like you said, like you grew up in a house where that was just common, so it's just it's how you've been conditioned is to that's normal.
Yeah, man.
And you're only like you're as normal as your life. Like your life creates what your normal is.
Exactly.
And
right.
it doesn't mean it's wrong or right. It's just your normal. But it's like if you don't like something about yourself, like you probably don't like to swear all the time. And when you listen to it back, I guarantee you'll be like, oh, I said that too many times.
Yeah.
But it's like one of those things you don't always see what you're saying, and it comes back to the whole therapy thing. And sometimes you want to tell someone and then get that little bit of feedback to go, I need to shift that.
Yeah, that is great. I love you, man.
I appreciate it.
I needed that. Yeah, I needed that shit bad.
That's so good. We got to, this was a quick one because we got to wrap this up because I got to go to rehab.
I know.
Is there anything you want to kind of end on or be, just before we go, like a quick little summary, like what is your goal with the program that you are running and how would you like to see it go?
Yeah. So we didn't talk about we're just about to launch a foundation, and that's something I'm really proud of and really excited about because it's something that's kind of really with the community that we have within Project Kick It, this foundation, it's kind of been born through that, and the whole thing is like, if we're going to kind of break it down, it's like simply the project is supporting young people with a disability and it should be exclusively that, but we're not that. Like the reason things work so well is because like siblings are getting involved, families get like everyone's so important to our family. Whereas the foundation is kind of looking at the big picture and it's being able to support the family as a whole. So like I was like, my mum had a disability, my sister had a disability, but I was the person who needed the support. And so it's just like now that's what we're working on. So yeah, man, like I said, I know we got to wrap it up, but in brief, the foundation is something that is something that we're working on really hard on, and it's something that we're not only proud of, but there's a lot of intention that goes into it, and there's a lot of it's something that really drives me because there's direction and there's goals. Whereas the Project Kick It stuff is just like, let's just go have some fun. Like, whereas this, it's like, no, like right now we're fundraising for a boy, Josh, who I've known for over 10 years. And we're trying to get him to the US for a treatment, and his family just isn't in a position to be able to pay for that. And it's like right now, every day I'm showing up because like I don't care how lame I look or whatever. Like I'm putting myself out there on socials and stuff just so I'm literally just posting stuff right now. So that way I'm not just constantly posting about the one thing. But up until this, I just did recently a walk, but like I know we're going to wrap up. So is like super private person. But I'm like, for these things to happen, like we don't live in a private world anymore. So like right now, it's like I'm just putting stuff out there so that way I can start working towards this. So like I said, it's kind of really giving me direction and kind of something to work towards. So
that's sick. We can we'll put links and stuff in this and share it out there and spread the love. But no, I think it's really cool.
Thank you, bro.
All right, brother. Thank you for that. We got it done. Just got to work on the swearing.
Yeah, sorry, man.
Nah, don't be sorry, bro. It's